G'day folks, I'm Keith Jobson, welcome to the channel. Something I get asked a lot, and that is about whether I run a Cush Drive on the KTM 500. Now, the answer is pretty short and sweet. The answer is no, but the reasons why I say no may be slightly controversial. So I've got here behind me, I've got the wheel off my KTM 500 and I've got the other one off my Tiger 800. So dirt bike, road bike. So let's have a look at the Tiger one, which does have a Cush Drive, and you can see what that actually is. This is a Cush Drive. It's a bunch of rubber blocks inside that hub, and the wheel itself is kind of made up of two bits. There's the main wheel and hub, and then you've got the sprocket on a separate carrier. The carrier has these lugs on it. The lugs fit in the gaps between the rubber spaces, and then as your chain turns the sprocket, that force is transmitted through the lugs onto these rubber blocks and pushes it and turns it. Because of the amount of friction between the tyre and the hard surface that the road bike is on, when you crack that throttle, the engine can spin up really quick, but the wheel cannot do that because of the friction on the road. If it wasn't for the Cush Drive, then all of that force that's being transmitted through the sprocket and chain, it's got to go somewhere. If the wheel can't spin up fast enough, then that'll all go back through the system and just put stress on your drive shaft and your chain and your gearbox and your clutch and everything. So that's why a Cush Drive exists. Spin over there to the KTM wheel and you can see sprocket is bolted directly onto the wheel, no Cush Drive there. Why didn't KTM put a Cush Drive on the 500? Well, basically because you don't need it. 500 is an enduro bike. It is designed to spend all of its life on the dirt, and it is the lack of traction on the dirt that is effectively the Cush Drive that protects the drivetrain on the KTM. So again, you crack that throttle open, the engine spins up really quick, and because the wheel can spin on the dirt, it doesn't have all those shocks going back through the system. So it's all good. The second reason that KTM probably didn't want to put a Cush Drive on this bike is because of the weight. If you have to add a separate hub for the sprocket, then that's all, a couple of kilos of metal. The reasons why I don't run a Cush Drive on the KTM, there's two reasons. One is that in my mind, I only ride the thing on the dirt. Now I know that's not true. I've done a lot of big trips on the road, but I try to avoid it where I can. That's my reasoning. If I did a lot of highway riding, it might be a different story, but I try not to, so I just don't think it's necessary. The second reason, which is possibly controversial, is that I think the KTM already has a Cush Drive hub. So just a little aside here, for a time, 12 months or so after I first bought this, I was happy with that one reason, with the first reason, that is, it's a dirt bike, doesn't need it. But of course, you do a few highway rides and you start to think, oh, maybe it does actually need one. I'm not real sure. I wasn't uncomfortable with riding on the road. I wasn't feeling anything wrong or anything like that. There was no issues as far as I knew, but it was about protecting the engine and protecting the bike, and that was kind of my thinking. So I did a bit of research, started to read on forums. People were saying things like, KTM's already got a Cush Drive in the clutch. I thought, oh, how does that work? That doesn't sound right. Turns out it's true. And this is it here. This is the clutch hub that sits inside the engine. So a normal clutch will have a clutch basket which is being turned by the engine. Inside the basket is a bunch of plates. The plates is what meshes with this hub, the clutch hub, and then when the clutch is engaged or disengaged, whichever, when you let the lever out, the clutch plates all push together and the inner hub turns with the outer hub. If you want a really good explanation, a visual explanation of how the clutch works, check out this video up here, because it can do a far better job in a couple of minutes than I could ever do trying to explain it to you. But the reason that I say this is a Cush Drive is this clutch hub is actually in two pieces. If I can take out this center piece, you should be able to see in there, there's a whole bunch of rubbers in there. The little rubber blocks are all inside this. And the piece that goes in it has got the lugs on it which fit inside there. So this piece here is what's being turned by the clutch plates. This piece here is the piece with the spline that goes through to the gearbox. So it's already got a Cush hub in it. Controversial? Maybe. Just by way of comparison, when I say it's a Cush hub, I mean it's basically the same as this. Same as the wheel, you have, you know, the outer bit with the rubber blocks in there, into which this carrier goes with the lugs that meshes into there. It's the same thing. You get lugs that mesh into the other one. Now I will admit that the rubber inside the rear wheel hub are a lot bigger than what's in here, but it's essentially the same thing. So for those two reasons, one, the thing spends most of its time on dirt, or as much as I can, and two, it's kind of already got one. That's the reasons I don't run one. So what do you think? Leave a comment below. Am I on the right track here, or am I just dreaming and I should just spend $1,000 and buy new wheels for these? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, I hope that's been enlightening for you. It was for me, just doing a bit of research. I mean, I'm not an engine guy, I just ride the thing. But, you know, bought some bits, looked up some videos on YouTube, worked it all out. I've explained it in my mind, so that's the main thing. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been of use to you. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.